Hello.
Hi Nat, how you going?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I'm very good, thank you.
All right. So I'm just going to check that we're live. So this is the first time we've used this. So we do just want to check that it's working properly. As I said, on Instagram, I'm pretty happy that Matt is the first Ask the Expert guest so that we can troubleshoot any tech issues together. Matt and I have known each other for a while, so it's really good that he's my
I'm,
first
I'm
guest.
happy. I'm happy to be your guinea pig. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're live. So for anyone watching on LinkedIn, you can't go live on LinkedIn, so we're using another platform to do it. So if you have any questions that we don't answer because we can't see them, I will read them later and make sure that I answer them later as well. Okay. So today is all about volunteering and the benefits of volunteering in Australia. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Natalie and I'm the founder of JobSpeak Academy, and I've organized this Ask the Expert series. Hello, Melissa. I can
I
see
just,
you. Amazing. Thank you for saying hi, so I know that it works. Great. Melissa's one of my clients. And so the benefits of volunteering is what we're talking about today. So JobSpeak Academy helps international professionals to build skills, build confidence, build communication skills, and also find a professional job in Australia. So the Ask the Expert series has incredible guest interviews with people from recruitment, volunteering, mental health, and different areas that's really going to help you to build your skills and feel more confident going into 2024. So Matt is the first guest about volunteering. So first of all, Matt, thank you. And could you tell us a little bit about Gig Buddies? So what is Gig Buddies?
yeah, so certainly. So yeah, my name is Matthew. I'm the project coordinator for Gig Buddies Central Coast. So Gig Buddies essentially is all about tackling social isolation for adults with mild to moderate learning disabilities or autism. We do that by pairing up an adult with disability with a volunteer, both of whom share a mutual interest. And they essentially go out and attend gigs or events together. And a gig or an event is very broad. A gig could be going for a coffee, could be going to a rock concert, could be going bushwalking, whatever it is that the volunteer and the buddy are into. We will pair them up, and then they go and do their thing. Age, gender, and location preferences are taken into consideration, but essentially it's about tackling social isolation, getting people out of the house, and we emphasize that the volunteer benefits just as much as the person with the disability.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's amazing. I didn't actually realize it was, bushwalking, coffee. It could be many different things, which is incredible.
Absolutely, yeah. A gig is anything, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess when we talk about volunteering and the benefits of volunteering for international professionals, so the people that I work with are very skilled professionals. So they've come from their home country with degrees, with experience in, finance, IT, arts, marketing, for example. And they come to Australia, but because of visa rules, because of communication skills, because of not having a network, because of lack of local experience, they find it really difficult to find a job at the level that they were at home, and it can be really frustrating.
Yeah.
So, as we know, Australian employers really like local experience. It's frustrating, but it's just a fact.
Yeah.
So, how can volunteering benefit someone in that situation to, be more employable in Australia?
So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I've been a visa holder myself, so I can relate to what you just mentioned there. Look, we emphasise that the volunteer benefits just as much as the person with disability. We've had people come to us because they either want to upskill in the industry or get, like you just said, local knowledge.
Yeah.
We've had people come to us because they want to, develop, work on their own mental well-being by socialising and meeting new people.
Yeah.
Volunteering with us is a great way to get out the house and meet new people, and also try new things and get out the local areas, meet the locals. I think back to myself. I've been in that situation where I taught English in China, and prior to teaching English, so I was a foreigner in a strange land, if you like. Prior to teaching English in China, I taught English in Laos and in Cambodia in a volunteer role. And I simply did that to get skills, to get some experience under my belt. So look, volunteering for me was invaluable in that sense. I got, while I had the qualifications, like you just mentioned, you know, a lot of qualified people come over, I got the skills and the confidence that I felt I needed to go in front of a classroom. So yeah, so from my point of view, you know, those skills are very transferable. So I would say volunteering gives you potentially a foot in the door, boost your CV, get some local confidence, meet new people, try new things. And I think overall, you know, if you're a foreigner in a strange land where you might not have the biggest network, do it for your own mental well-being.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that's, I find, and just to say for anyone, foreigner in a strange land, anyone who's listening to this, it's not rude, right? Because sometimes I think we hear the word foreigner and it's a bit rude, but it's like a collocation, a foreigner in a strange land. It's an expression, kind of a funny expression that Matt's using just to say that we all are, right? Because we are as well. He was in China, you know, so we're all foreigners in a strange land. And if anything, Australia is the strange land.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so no offense intended there. Yeah,
no. It's language, right? And that's another thing that would be beneficial from volunteering as well, is like you get to be part of a local Australian culture, language, communication, so that you can build your confidence with communication as well. So absolutely. And what type of volunteers do you get through Gig Buddies?
Good question. So we get all sorts, blue collar, white collar. So we get professionals.
Yeah.
We get people who are looking to upskill and get into the disability industry.
Yeah.
And we have retirees, people who've got a bit of time on their hands. We've got students. And I think back recently, I made a pairing up here on the Central Coast. I've got a highly qualified volunteer who's just relocated from Canberra.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've come to the coast. I know no one, so find me a friend. Essentially, I found her a buddy who knows the coast very well. So they're going to go out and explore the Central Coast. So what I love about that, there's a sense of empowerment there because the person with disability is taking the lead. You know, this is my area. I'm going to show you. And the volunteer is benefiting because, well, they don't know the local area. Now they're going to have a personal guide, if you like.
Yeah.
So look, we have all sorts when it comes to volunteers. We're 18 plus, and anyone who lives within Sydney, Central Coast regions can apply.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great. It sounds great. And especially for Central Coast, where it is a smaller area as well. So anyone who's in Newcastle as well, you could travel to the Central Coast. So tell me, what skills would someone get from volunteering with you?
So skills would be, I'll probably look at the mental skills first of all. You know, it's tackling that isolation. I think about the clientele you support. So if you're coming over here and you want to work on your language skills, there you go. So you're getting out and about, you're working on your language skills. If you want to increase your awareness of your local area, you know, you would be going out and about, you would be increasing just that. You'd be meeting the locals, like you said, getting a flavor of local culture. So you've got those mental well-being skills, if you like, but then I suppose you've got, from the job skill point of view, you're boosting your CV. You know, you're showing that I think you're proactive.
Yeah.
You're in a situation where you need to be proactive in that sense to get the skills to impress an employee, and you're doing that. You're doing just that. And I'd probably say that's the main thing, that proactiveness. But while you're going out and about with your buddy, you're learning things along the way. You know, you're building up your, I suppose you're getting to know a person. So you're working on your personal skills, working on your organizational skills, because you've got to be able to meet up with people.
Yeah.
And I think your social skills are really key as well. You know, you're not just meeting the person, you might meet their family, you might meet their support network. So a lot of spin-offs in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So from an employer or a recruiter's perspective, which I always think about, is you've got your communication skills there, especially within an Australian context. As Matt said, about being proactive. So you've gone out and you've found the experience and the job yourself. So communication, being proactive, organizational skills, absolutely. And then thinking about the other soft skills, such as building relationships with people, being flexible as well, being adaptable to change, being, you know, emotionally intelligent, because you are working with people from a disability perspective as well. So there's lots of soft skills that you can get and you can then add to your resume.
All day long. I talk about, people often say what skills you need to work in disability, and I just say qualifications are nice, but I think the two main ingredients are personality. So by that I mean you need to be adaptable and get to know the person. So I remember I went to a gig a couple of years ago with a person with disability, and there was what I would call the awkward silence. You know, you're just sat there and you're like, oh, what do I say? What do I say? And I was talking so much, I was chewing this poor girl's ear off. And after about 10 minutes, I just realized she wants me to be quiet. So we sat there in silence and we watched the gig together, and she had a great time. She had a great time. So that was me reading the room, essentially. So
empathetic. So it's like, hey, it's having the awareness, emotional intelligence, and empathy awareness. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that comes down to being adaptable as well and flexible. I think you sort of hit the nail on the head there about those key skills you can develop.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's so many skills that you can gain through volunteering. So volunteering in a community services disability capacity is really beneficial for your soft skills development. But if that's not something you want, if you are more tech-based or you're more marketing or business, there are opportunities out there for you as well. There are so many volunteer opportunities in Australia. And I will link some websites after this interview where you can go and have a look for volunteer opportunities. You can look in your city. You can also find remote opportunities as well, where you would volunteer online. One of the biggest barriers, I would say, or challenges that people say to me is that I don't have time to volunteer. If I suggest volunteering as an option to get the local experience, people would say, I don't have time. What would you say to that, Matt?
Well, so look, we tackle that social isolation and we pair people up on mutual interests. So if you like football, we'll find you someone with disability who likes football. If you like opera, we'll find you someone who's into opera. So the notion that you don't have time, you know, you are doing things you love. So if you make time, if I want to go and watch the football, I'll go and watch the football. And if I'm happy to take someone along with me, amazing. So this is Gig Buddies works at a time that's convenient for both. We recommend people catch up once to maybe twice a month at a time of your convenience. So, you know, it's not about being available Monday morning, 9 a.m. when you might be, I don't know, studying or working. It's not about, you know, you might catch up on a weekend, you might catch up on a weeknight. It's a time that's convenient for both of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just generally as well, like other volunteer opportunities, you are not expected to work full-time hours. You will negotiate your commitment. So it might be once a week, once a fortnight, 2 hours a week. So you can negotiate that as well. So to summarize the benefits of volunteering, local experience is what employers want, particularly in industries such as business, IT, like business analysts, marketing and that type of thing. Other industries such as disability in aged care and community, they really love your transferable skills and your soft skills, and volunteering can really help build that as well. But you also get network. You also be able to connect with people. You've just moved to Australia or you've been here for a short time, and you want to build your social network as well as your professional network. So it's an opportunity to do that and learn from people as well. You going to say something? I thought he was going to say something. So yeah, it's a really wonderful opportunity to do all of that. Now, as I said, I will link some websites after this where you can go and look for opportunities that are related to your industry. And if you are interested in Gig Buddies, I will also link that as well. I think we might have lost Matt. Have we lost you? Yes, we've lost him. Okay, so I was gonna ask him about what skills you would need to work in disability, but that's okay. A lot of that would be associated with your soft skills. And they really like to see lived experience as well. Oh, hi.
Don't know. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Cool. I had to switch you on again.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. It happens. Hey.
Yeah.
What about volunteering in administration? Yeah, absolutely. So, Melissa, with administration, so think about all the different types of businesses or organizations that would need administration support. So there might be aged care, for example, that would need administration support. So you could still work within the community, but with an administration type capacity. Seek Volunteers is a really good website where you can have a look. Also, I would also be looking at not-for-profits and places close to where you live as well, and perhaps just contacting them to see. But Seek Volunteer is a really, really great one. Would you have any suggestions about that?
No, I think you made a really good point before it got cut out about networking. Now, I'm a big believer in that, if you show that you're proactive and you network and you volunteer your time, that can lead into anything. That can turn into an opportunity. So go there, prove your worth, prove your skills, show your skills. And then that can lead into anything. Now, look, Australia is a nation built on volunteers. I think about surf lifesavers. They give their time every week. I think about the Rural Fire Service. When the next bushfire breaks out, the fireys will be on site. They're all volunteers. We're a nation that does not exist without volunteers. We are so reliant on them. And so look, you're absolutely right. Seek Volunteer. We actually source a number of our volunteers from that method, and it's brilliant. And I spoke to a woman the other day who started volunteering for an animal shelter in an administrational capacity. So there's plenty of variety out there. There's plenty of work. And so I would check out Seek Volunteering. That's a really good resource to look at.
Yeah. And think about what you're really interested in as well. So, if you, for example, I know Melissa, so dogs, dog shelter, administration, customer support in a dog shelter. So, make sure that it's something that you're going to enjoy. I find that a lot of people, they focus so much on career and professional growth. And sometimes you forget that, it's your life. You've got to be happy here as well. You've got to find joy. So if you are going to volunteer, which I suggest you do, make sure it's something that you're going to enjoy doing as well, because it will help you emotionally, as Matt always talks about, as well as professionally as well. So I'll link some websites when I post this replay that will help you to find jobs in your kind of industry. A quick note about volunteering and internships, because I do get this question. The difference between volunteering and an internship is that volunteering would mostly be helping a not-for-profit, so an organization that wouldn't have any money, and the hours would be negotiated with you. There would also be an idea that you would need some support and some training. Is that correct, Matt? So you wouldn't push someone straight into it. You would help them as well to feel confident and support them to do, what they need to do.
Yeah, and it might be more of a casual basis. It could be a one-off. Go in. It could be as and when you're needed. Whereas I suppose an internship, there's a set agreement that you will work set hours for this company at this time at this location.
Yeah, absolutely. And an internship is often a full-time work for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, as an example. And now, obviously, if you're working full-time in a company, a for-profit company, you will gain the skills, but also you wouldn't necessarily be paid. Most of the internships in Australia, I disagree with, are unpaid internships. And you're providing services for the company. Whereas volunteering, you're helping and learning and building your skills for a not-for-profit, which, in my opinion, is helping the community and helping you as well. Would you agree with that? Or do you...
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Volunteering is invaluable. It's part of the Australian culture.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have a quick question about anyone who happens to be watching who might want to work in disability support. What would your advice be for them in terms of the skills,
Yeah.
the resume, the getting their foot in the door, or anything like that? Any advice?
From my experience, there's a definite shortage of workers. Now, look, every company has a different policy on, say, employing those who can only work for 6 months. Some people might be open to it, some people might not. So if you get knocked back from one company, that doesn't mean that's reflective across the board. So one company policy might be, no, we don't employ people on student visas or the like. But that doesn't mean that's not reflective across the board, because there is a shortage of workers in this space. There absolutely is. And without wanting to sound sexist, there's a shortage of male workers in this space.
Okay.
Huge shortage of male workers in this space. That's from my personal experience. So keep sending out those CVs. Now, look, when I came into the space, I had no skills. And I'd like to think I've proven myself. I've been working for this company now for 10 years. So therefore, while I had no skills, I think I came with a positive attitude, showed flexibility, showed a bit of personality, showed a willingness and professionalism, about timekeeping, that sort of stuff. Just basic stuff, if you like, which makes you get recognised and appreciated, I suppose, by an employee.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. And so, there is a shortage. Disability is one of the more in-demand jobs out there. For males, I didn't realise that. That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
I have one more question that was submitted through the form. I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer this completely, but we will talk about it. How do you get local experience if many companies don't have the time to train an employee with overseas experience? So I think that's what we've been talking about. So how do you get the local experience that Australian employees want with that if they don't take the time to train you? Can you answer that first of all? I'll put my opinion in there.
I suppose I can talk from our point of view.
Yeah.
So we do provide the training. Volunteers, without volunteers, our project simply doesn't exist. So therefore, we develop, we nurture, we work with the volunteers. So there's training in place. Like I said, without them, we fold. Simple as that. So I can only talk from our point of view in that sense. So we at Gig Buddies will provide that. For the others who don't do that, don't take no as an answer. Just because you might have had a no from one company, that doesn't mean that's reflective of other companies. So keep going. Don't give up. Keep fighting the good fight. Yeah.
I think for me, I would disagree a tiny bit with you, but agree as well. It depends on the industry. So the reason, Matt works in community services, and that is 100%. He's correct with anything associated with humans, community services, customer service, administration. Absolutely. Keep going. Just because one company says no, it doesn't mean all of the companies will say no. However, the more technical roles, so for example, engineering, for example, business analyst, IT, possibly finance. Number one, you must have a valid working visa for full time, and it must be permanent in the majority of the cases. And the reason for that is that, let's say engineering as an example, because I think the person is talking about engineering, it costs thousands of dollars to hire someone with an engineering industry. It costs so much money. And if they're going to hire you, go through the recruitment process, the interview process, train you, and then you leave 6 to 8 months later because your visa is temporary, they're not going to do that. So you cannot apply for a full-time job unless you have a migration pathway. You can if you say, I'm on a COVID visa until May 2024, but then I will be on a permanent visa for another 4 years. You need to have a plan. You need to tell them what your plan is, and they need to feel confident that the money they're spending on you to train you is not going to be wasted when they have to then recruit again to find someone else to replace you. So I know it's frustrating that they ask for local experience, but it can cost upwards of $10,000 to $15,000 in some industries to actually hire and train, especially in engineering when there's a high risk. So you would need a lot of, specific qualification certificates, training to make sure that you can go onto the site as well. So it's a lot to do with that. But then community services, as an example, they have 6-month contracts. You can apply for that. Administration and customer service, they have 6-month contracts. You can apply for that. So there are jobs that you can do. It just might not be the specific job that you want. So what I would say about that to my clients is that you need a plan. You need a strategy. You can't find that job now, but if you work step by step, you can get it in the future. It's not always what you want to hear, but that's a reality. We do have a recruiter on Monday, and I will ask that question to her as well and get her opinion on that exact question about finding the local experience and, hiring when you're on a temporary visa.
And I think that's a good point you make. I think sometimes you need to take stock and assess short-term, long-term goals.
Yeah.
So if you're only in Australia for, say, I don't know, 2 years on a student visa, if you're here for 2 years working on your career, maybe that can take a backseat, and maybe you could work on other skills, language, supervising, things like that. So maybe a case of then you can go back to your, just say you return home, you've then worked on those well-being skills, but also you might have developed your language skills, your communication skills, things you pick up along the way as well. So I think sometimes it's a case of taking stock between short-term and long-term goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so Robert from M&M Studio will be with us at 4 p.m. And he's actually studio at college, and he's actually created a college focused on entrepreneurship, freelancing, and more contract-based opportunities, saying that work isn't what it used to be. We are not in the same job for 10, 20 years doing 9 to 5 anymore. People are doing different jobs, different skills. So building your, professional skills, your mental well-being skills is actually really, really important. So that will be a really interesting interview as well at 4 o'clock. Thanks, Matt. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Any advice before we finish off?
I think most importantly, look, if you're in Australia and you've come from overseas, have fun, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Don't get stressed. If you get knocked back, keep going.
Yeah.
But most importantly, you're not in Australia forever. Potentially, enjoy it. Make the most of it. It's a great country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the people I work with are settled here.
Okay.
So Melissa, for example, she's just got a dog and she is settled here. And that's kind of when it becomes frustrating, where they're ready to build their career again. But yeah, it will all fall into place. And I 100% agree with Matt about, focusing on your mental well-being as well.
Yeah, that's a career is for 40 years. So, if you don't get it right within the first 3 months, you'll get there.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You've been amazing. So this replay will be available, and I'll pop some information about you and some links to Gig Buddies if anyone wants to volunteer with Gig Buddies in the Sydney area or also in the Central Coast area as well. And I'll pop up some other websites where you can look for some other volunteering jobs as well.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nat.
No worries. Thank you so much for being my guinea pig.
It went well. There was only one issue.
I think so. Apart from the beginning where I forgot to switch you on, so I couldn't hear. Oh,
that in the Central Coast web internet down here. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, take it easy. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks again. Bye. End.